Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. Mishmash Monday. Got a few things I want to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is Rick Centaur asked me a question about the ratchet that I was using the other day, the spinner, the Craftsman spinner ratchet. We're going to talk about that real quick. But before I do, I want to tell you why I pulled that out to use for the vise. You know, there are certain tools and there are certain items that we come across in life that you just like using, or you just want to use, or they feel good to the touch, or they're very pleasing to use. And there are a lot of items that are just the opposite, you know. And as you get older, you derive great pleasure from using items that feel good. You know, everybody has their favorite spatula or their favorite kitchen knife or their favorite, you know, and I take joy in that. I take joy in certain things. So let's talk about some of the things today that I take joy in using. Now, this little beauty here is called the Craftsman Speed Spinner Ratchet, is what it's known as. And they usually call this the V series, and a lot of it has to do with the, you know, the selector switch being shaped like a V. But, you know, these 1969, you know, a lot of these dated back to whatever. But what's interesting about these, other companies made them. Her brand made them. There's a few other areas you'll see that had made this type of wrench. And basically, it's a 3/8 inch ratchet, and you can see the operation, right? Now, here's what's interesting about this. This is, without a doubt, a super cool ratchet. However, it's not that useful. So, you know, everybody wants one, and because of it, the prices have skyrocketed, you know? These things go for $75, $100. This was my dad's. They go for a lot of money. Now, I try and use this whenever possible, but I'm telling you right now, it is not one of those tools that you're going to get and say, wow, I'm so glad I got it. Because you know, it's you don't have a lot of leverage with this. You're much better off with one of these. Now, Randy Richard did a nice video on these a couple months ago, I guess. And this is a regular speed ratchet. If you don't have one of these in your arsenal, then you need to get one. These are fantastic. I mean, in the right hands, you could do so much with this. But this one here, not so much. But the cool factor on this is out of, you know, it's out of this world. You know, this is something that you just want to have. So I try and use it every so often, just in memory of my dad. But I'm telling you, you know, don't spend $75 on these. I hear tons of stories about guys getting these for $2 or $3, $5, $10 at the flea market. So just hang in. You'll come across one sooner or later. It might be the other brand, but that's one of the things that's just fun to use, but, you know, not really useful. These speed wrenches are totally much better to use, much more useful. So get yourself one of these for a couple dollars. Okay, next up, I picked up this flashlight just recently. You know, I buy a lot of flashlights only because I like to try them out. And, you know, I'm a flashlight guy from way back. Now, I tend to like military style flashlights because they usually are a little bit more rugged, last longer, whatever. But there's a few things that I look forward to. And we're going to go through this and try it out. But this is an Energizer. And now, I have a military version that this was, you know, we used to get these in the military years ago. Let me tell you what's so nice about this. This was expensive. You went to buy this, it was like $30 on the civilian market. But we used to get them at the PX, and they were cheaper. So let me tell you a little bit about this. This is the same brand, as you can see. And this is the same type of flashlight. What I like about these is they're a single A battery, which is always great. And I'll tell you why. In cold weather conditions, you keep one battery in here, one in your pocket, warm in your pocket. So when this starts to give you, you know, cold weather conditions, they start to fail. Get about 6 hours use out of this, and then you pop it in. You pop the one out of your pocket. But the problem with the new flashlights, all the new flashlights, is the switches. The damn switch. You know, they finally got the bulbs to last. The batteries last much longer, and now the switches go. You know, you get a couple years, and that's what happened with this. Same thing, the switch went on here. So now I have to turn the cap to operate it. But here's what I like about this particular flashlight here is it has these twist-off lenses here, you see? You take that lens here, you spin it onto the front here like this, and now you have this is, well, I don't know if it's not pink, it's red. But you also have a blue. And this is very good, especially for me, astronomy. When you do any kind of astronomy, red lens will save your night vision. So I've always liked this flashlight. I use it every single day, even though I have to turn the cap. So I just picked this one up and we're going to try it out. Okay, so we installed the battery. You can see it just spins off really easy, only a couple turns. That's what it looks like inside the tail cap. Spin it on and it comes right to the front, locks in, feels really good, very heavy duty. This is definitely, you're never going to break this. Has a couple things you could tie onto here. This you can clip on, and it also has the neodymium magnets that you can stick onto something. So, and it uses one AA battery. So really nice, lightweight. It's identical almost in construction to this one, but much, much cheaper. I'll put the link in the description for it. And you can see this one here, this comes off, if you want to take that off. But this is the same thing here, but it's a little bit, it feels like a little bit more stout. Maybe I just wore it out more, but we're going to check it out outside. But before I do, I want to talk about we were talking about feel-good stuff. Now, I have a nice collection of flashlights, all different kind of lanterns and things like that. This is just two I had upstairs and I want to talk about. These are old-fashioned flashlights. They're older than most of us, These things date back. They got to be 60 years old, something like that. But anyway, you can see here, this one here is a Home Art, and it's an aluminum, with steel construction. And look how cool this is, huh? The problem is this is the early plastic. They're starting to craze a little bit on the inside. But let me show you what's interesting about this. Again, 60 years old, and the switch still works. You push this button down, that's a lock here. You see that's a lock. You push it down like this, and then you move it forward, and it gives you spot, okay? And you can see it's working. It's on. And it'll say spot, and then if you push it forward to a second point, it gives you a flood. You could see there's a little lens in there that moves, and this goes way back to 60 years, and this thing still works, and it has just a nice design. Now the second flashlight, again, it's heavy, bulky, it doesn't throw off good light, compared to the new ones, but it's just, how cool is that? They don't, just the style factor. Secondly, this one here, some of you might recognize this here. This is a material known as Bakelite. Now, in 1907, Leo Baekeland, who was a Belgian-American scientist, came up with this process where he introduced phenol and formaldehyde and condensed them, and it came out into a plastic. And it wasn't just a plastic; it was a thermoplastic, which meant it was highly resistant to heat and other things. And this is the good stuff, and this stuff lasted forever. And it was it was pretty expensive back then, but they made all kinds of stuff, radios and everything. You remember the old Bakelite radios, and usually it was like a brown. It had a beautiful brown swirl, and there's all different colors to it. But the military used it quite a bit. And this flashlight here, you could hear, it's called Tough Light, but you could see here that this one here, another one, this one's got to be in the 30s, this flashlight. And look, still works, still operates. I like how the bulb is put on there with that little spring. But let me show you the inside because it's pretty interesting. And you can see the threads, It had a glass lens. Love that. Here's the bulb with the rubber gasket around it, so you wouldn't get any moisture in there. Well, I just put these batteries in here, but I want to show you the tail cap too. Because that's pretty interesting. Look at the threads on here, how nice they are. Came with a spare bulb and the tail cap. Just a beautiful. Bakelite is a tremendous material, and you'll see that it went through an explosion of price, in the 70s and 80s. People started looking for stuff that was Bakelite, anything Bakelite, like cameras, things like that, radios, and it really took off. They made a lot of jewelry out of this plastic, and today, they don't use it too much. You have to be careful if you grind it down and stuff. I think there's some, toxic properties. But this flashlight here is probably a Navy flashlight, military type, or Coast Guard approved. So, you can see because it has some seals to it that it won't get water in there. Very interesting. That's another one that has a great feel factor when you use it. But again, it's heavy and stuff. Let's try out the other two, the small ones, in the yard. Now, we're just going to try this out outside, but before I do, I want to show you this little yellow chart on the bottom. Tells you a little about this flashlight. First of all, it has 75 lumens. It will last for 6 hours. It's only a one-position switch. You could drop it from 7 meters and it will survive a drop because it is very rugged. It'll shine a beam about 30 meters, which is just under 100 feet. And it's water resistant. Backyard, and this is what the light looks like. Okay, now of course I'm on video mode, but I'm just showing you what the beam looks like, and you can see how far it throws. It's a very good light, and you can see very lightweight, good beam to it. And again, it's one single battery, one single AA battery. Plenty of light to do whatever. Next up on the Mosh, just to show you how small this world really is. Remember I was doing that anvil a couple weeks ago, you know, and I had to submerge it. Well, James Dorn, a good friend of the show, and he's been watching for a long time. James said, you know, it's amazing. He says, I noticed you had a Tide bottle back there, a 200-ounce Tide bottle. And he says, we haven't made those in like 15. He works for the company that makes these bottles for Tide. And only one company makes these 200-ounce bottles at the time. I guess it's been 15 years since they made it. And he goes, wow, I haven't seen one of them in so long. And I was like, you know why? Because I make my own detergent. You know, I have a video on that. And, you know, a detergent for when I was using my work uniforms and things like that, so I didn't have to buy expensive. So I would mix the soap and the other ingredients to make a detergent, and I would fill this up. But look at this, and it's right. He said 200 fluid ounce bottle, and this was, who knows? Maybe James made this actual bottle. Is that cool? I mean, it just goes to show you we take things for granted. We don't even realize it. And here it is. He noticed it, picked it out right away, and he says, wow, I haven't seen them in years. Okay, last up real quick. I was in the attic the other day, and I found something I bought years ago, and I forgot I actually had it. So I thought I'd bring it down, clean it up, and let me show you what it is. And here it is. It's an old doctor's bag, but looks a little dirty for where I have. But let me show you. This thing is, I think it's almost brand new, or NOS or something. It's still got the 2 keys here. So let's go clean it up and take a look at what it is. It's really interesting. Okay, now that we have the bag clean, as far as we obviously vacuumed it, and we went over it with a damp towel of a terry cloth towel that was damp, and got all the dirt and everything off here. Now it's clean. Now we're going to go to our Armor All. This is again, this has to be 30 years old, this container. Never underestimate Armor All. It's good stuff, and especially this leatherette will keep it nice. So we're going to apply a little Armor All and then take a look at it. And here we are. The case on the outside is finished now. You can see what a nice job that Armor All does. After you apply the Armor All, you just buff it out after it sets for a little while. It is a good product. And oiled up the lock. Lock all works. Checked it out. Now let me show you what it looks like when you open the case. You just turn it sideways, and when you open it up, you could see it opens nicely, and it has these detents here, so it can't flop open more than it's locked open. I had some medical gear in here. I don't know what at the time, you know, some vintage medical gear and things like that. Some old gauze tape. You know, some things like that. I guess I was going to make this into a first aid kit or something, but look how interesting this is, how this opens up the sides here. You see this little flap here? Well, you grab this one, not this one. You grab this one, you pop this like this, and this is your handle to open up here. And then in here, look, we have an old Bear aspirin bottle. Band-Aids, still good, I guess. You know, remember the tin cases they used to come in? And so you can see how interesting that works. It's something you never have to worry about breaking, and that's what I like about it so much. Same over here. Again, you lift this corner up, pops up, and then this opens up the container. And then when you open it up, you have another container here, and opens up the same way. Think about how great this would be for all kinds of any kind of hobbies that you might have. You know, all the different. You can put fasteners in here, and you know, pretty interesting. I like this case. So you can see here, it's the label here. Can you read that? There it is. You can see it says Pandora Pandora. It's made in Michigan, United States. So I can imagine this one. I don't know what the vintage of this particular case is, but I just like it. It would make a great tool case, anything, right? It's just a nice little doctor's case. So even though that's a doctor's case, you know, it really does make a good case for a lot of different hobbies, you know, with all them compartments. Same thing when years ago we used to go slot car racing. I used to bring cosmetic, those hard shell cosmetic cases, things like that. You know, whenever you find those inexpensively, and they were made to last, you know, some of them old cases are really good. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve, all right? So hope everybody's got their shopping done. I got to start mine. Anyway, have a good day. Take care now. Bye-bye.